You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, migrant workers Undersecretary Hans Cacdac. USEC, welcome to The Source. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Pinky, and to your viewers. Good morning, po.
So good news for OFWs who did not get their wages in the years, I believe, 2015 and 2016 in Saudi Arabia, a promise by the Saudi Crown Prince that their salaries will finally be paid. USEC, first of all, how many OFWs will benefit from this?
Yes, first of all, we're very thankful to the Royal Crown Prince and, of course, to the Saudi government. It was an eventful meeting between the Royal Crown Prince and President Marcos. And, of course, Secretary Toots Ople was on hand. And this was brought on, of course, through a series of diplomatic meetings and high-level talks between Secretary Toots and counterpart Saudi Arabia. Well, right now, Pinky, we are sitting down with the Saudi side to determine the details of implementation in light of the meeting between the President and the Royal Crown Prince. We are looking into the details of implementation, such as the matter on, well, the basic questions, when the fund releases will come, and in terms of the manner in which the fund releases will be made or how the money will be distributed, and of course the amounts involved and the beneficiaries involved. At this stage, we're managing expectations. So we don't want as yet to release any details until we sit down with the Saudi side.
But even then, USEC, hindi ho ba, matagal na po ito. In fact, there was a ban to deploy new hires, hindi ho ba, in Saudi Arabia because of this problem of unpaid salaries. Back then, sir, from my recollection, there were about 9,000, tama ho ba, or 10,000 workers who did not get their salaries. Ganon ho ba kadami yun?
Well, yes, you're right. This has been a long-standing issue, as you know. The bankruptcies of the Saudi construction companies in question occurred sometime in 2014 and 2015. And if you will recall, there were many stranded workers in Saudi Arabia at the latter part of the Aquino administration and the beginning of the Duterte administration that had to be sent home through the auspices, through a joint effort of the Philippine and Saudi governments. So yes, we have a clear idea from the Philippine side in terms of the workers who are affected. And in fact, as you also know, the Department of Labor, then the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration and Department of Migrant Workers joined hands to help them, to help the workers who as yet had not received their salaries through a series of assistance packages or measures. So there is a list from the Philippine side. However, we need to sit down with the Saudi side to determine the final list of beneficiaries and at least the coverage of the workers whom they feel should encompass this recent pronouncement by the Royal Crown Prince.
But definitely it reaches thousands. That's definite, sir. It's just that you don't want to give us the exact number of OFWs who will benefit from this.
Yes. At this stage, it will cover at least the figure that you mentioned, 9,000 and even more. But again, Pinky, we want to assuage any apprehensions at this stage. I think the workers have waited long enough and have been through a series of circumstances where information that had been released online or in social media turned out to be false. So we're managing expectations at this stage. So the pronouncement at least is to await the details of implementation as soon as the Philippine and Saudi side sit down and talk.
Yeah, I guess it's prudent to be taking that kind of direction, Undersecretary, because they've waited long enough. Ano po? And you're right. You need to manage the expectations and get the facts from the Department of Migrant Workers regarding this. So for those watching us, especially those who know that they're beneficiaries of this, that they're supposed to be the ones receiving this payment, we will be talking about this a little bit more, but we need to take a very short break. We'll be right back. Our source today, Migrant Workers Undersecretary Hans Cacdac. So Yusek, you're still finalizing details on this. Ganito na lang po. Kailan ho sila makakatanggap ng karagdagang detalye about any information on when and who and how much?
Well, 2 days ago, there was a technical working group meeting just a few days after the pronouncement. And we had already reached out to the Saudi side to commence the talks. But I have to say that a lot will depend on the process of fund releases from the Saudi side. So in other words, we are pretty much dependent on the time in which the Saudi side will be ready with the funds. Because definitely we don't want to make any concrete announcements until the money is ready. Or else we will be experiencing the same situation in the past as we had raised expectations. So we are still awaiting as the days unfold. What is sure is that there was a first meeting already a couple of days ago. And in the succeeding days, in fact, Secretary Toots and a delegation from the DNW will be headed for Saudi come December to further fresh out the details.
I see. So if there is going to be a trip to Saudi Arabia by Secretary Toots in December, it looks as if possibly in 2023 pa really, in 2023 po magkakaroon ng additional information on this. I understand what you're saying. I mean, if there are no funds yet, no, to be fair, yet, it's hard to talk about this. So ang importante din ho talaga, you iron it out on our side, ilan po yung manggagawa, magkano makukuha nila, but more importantly, kailan lalabas yung pera from the other side. Otherwise, there's nothing to distribute.
Yes, that's right. What we have at the moment is a pronouncement. So, which is very, very good news, which is the most important first step, right? Pero yun nga, kailangan pa natin talagang linangin ng detalye because we don't want to create false expectations. The other thing I should mention, Pinky, there was a press conference by Sec Toots just the other day, and she was emphasizing, or at least warning the workers not to entertain any offers or information provided by third parties or fixers or middlemen and such. Kasi meron ng mga nagtatanong, meron na nagpapakita ng mga screenshots sa social media ng mga nag-aalok ng tulong. So sinasabi ni Sec Toots, wag pong pumatol doon at sa halip ay await further announcements from the Department of Migrant Workers.
Right, sir. Again, let's emphasize and underscore that. Wait for the information coming from the Department of Migrant Workers, Sec Toots Ople, kahit po si Arnel at si Yusek Cacdac, everyone who is involved here, and do not engage with people who are not part of the DMV. So we will continue to await more information on this habang patuloy na pinag-uusapan ito. So konti pang hintay, 6 years na ho sila naghintay.
Yes.
They might have to wait, a couple of more months. Undersecretary Hans Cacdac, sir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Pinky. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.